Good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode. Where are we at? 474, I think, 475, somewhere in that vicinity. Happy Friday, Hoodie Friday. Hoodie Friday. If you're new to the program, I call it Hoodie Friday because I work from home. So every day's a casual Friday. So I mix it up and I have Hoodie Friday. Don't wear hoodies Monday through Thursday. So Hoodie Friday. Club 400 was 2 months in a row for Club 400 parties. We had Patrick Wisdom in December for the Christmas party. Last weekend with Frank Schwindel and Ron Coomer. It sounds like there's going to be a March party to be determined. So looking forward to hanging out at Club 400 again. So Hoodie Friday. Good morning to Jenny. DR, what's up, Dan? So Dan, going to talk about a couple things eBay related today. Global shipping, because I saw you had a question about that yesterday on Twitter. I'm just going to touch on it, and I think I did. I kind of vaguely mentioned it in a response that Jenny tagged me in. So I'll talk about that, and then I'll also talk about best practices for standard envelope. And DR, I'm going to take some advice. I think that was you that asked if I was ever going to like edit down to like the topic of which I would like to do. I'm not savvy enough to do that, but I'm going to make a separate video for the standard envelope best practices. But I'm going to talk about that in today's program. I'll make a separate video with best practices because it's been a constant. I see like on a daily basis people on Twitter having issues. There's just threads upon threads on the blowout forums, and I know people are pulling their hair out. But there's usually there's three things that I'll touch on, and typically it's one of those three things that's causing any issues you're having with standard envelopes. So I'm going to talk about that, and then I'll also do a separate video probably this weekend. Can't wait to listen on the ride home later. Quick question: what positive stories or developments, if any, have happened in 2022? So I want to talk about that as well. That's going to go in with today's story because Dan, here's the thing. I talk about positive stuff like on a daily basis. Like I try to use this Hobby Evolution morning show to highlight the positive, talk about the positive, but I don't want to be a Pollyanna. I don't want to ignore what's going on in the hobby because I think that does a disservice to collectors if they're not being introduced to bad apples and bad characters within the hobby. So I've kind of steered clear out of a lot of the drama and negativity within the hobby, but with kind of just this whirlwind of January that we've had with all of the scams and drama within the hobby, I felt that yesterday's story that broke was necessary. But yes, there's absolutely a lot of positive. Speaking of one of those things, Zach had an awesome, or Diego had an awesome video that Zach and Porter, they found a short print Mike Trout, and Porter, Zach's son, gave it away, racked it to Diego, a Mike Trout SP that they found in a bargain box. And Diego did the video here on YouTube. He's in the chat, Sports Card Detour. So check his YouTube channel out. Diego doesn't have a wrench. I got to give you a wrench. Diego, there you go. Diego's got a wrench. Diego, link your YouTube channel in here and check out his stuff. So there's a lot of positive, but today with all of what went on yesterday with the Marx Cards stuff, I just wanted to talk about it. I don't grade. I've never submitted to PSA or any of the other grading companies. I have slabs in my collection. I've considered submitting to and some people that aren't in like the grading game say, well, why would you give your cards to somebody else to submit? And there's actually reasons behind that. So I'll go into that. Let's see. You're excited early. You're excited a week early for card show weekend. Yeah, I mentioned in the chat earlier that I was up at 4:30 a.m. this morning. That's what do you call that? 4 a.m. this morning. I was up at 4 a.m. repetitive. I was up at 4:30 a.m. this morning. There, I did it again. 4:30 this morning. For no reason. I woke up and I wasn't tired. And I laid in bed and I scrolled. I did my morning scrolling, checked my eBay sales, checked my email, and it's like, well, I might as well get up. So I'm on. I think this is my third cup of coffee, maybe. Ed's up at 4:30 every morning. That was I lived that world back in my radio days, and I'm actually I would rather be up at 4:30 than stay awake until 2 and wake up at noon or 10 or whatever. I'm more of a morning person. So Dan's with us. What's up, Dan? Jenny, I could not believe it involved Ryan, card collector too. I knew him through Twitter before he opened his shop. No, so no, and so Ryan is actually Ryan's gone above and beyond. So Card Collector 2 was accepting submissions from his customers, and then he was subbing to Marx Cards. Now, what Ryan has done is he's paid back. He's lost out of pocket about 100 grand of his own money that he's given back to his customers that now he needs to be reimbursed because Ryan paid Marx Cards. Marx Cards had the cards and Ryan's money from his customers. So Ryan is owed 100 grand from Marx Cards. Ryan, out of his own pocket, gave his customers $100,000. So Ryan, Card Collector 2, is out 100 grand right now just to get his cards back to his customers. That's awesome. That's the good in the hobby. So there, it shows that there still is a lot of good, great people within the hobby, and that's one of the highlights. Diego says he doesn't want a wrench. Well, you have a wrench. Now use it, Diego. Andrew's with me. What's up, Andrew? Herman, good morning to you. So let's just dive into it. Let's just dive right into it since we got going there. Thanks for the shout out. We just felt Diego didn't have enough cards, right? So if you're unaware of the situation, it broke yesterday. And my first thought was, oh, great, here we go again. And I didn't really care because, like I said, I'm not into the grading. I don't do submissions. I don't go through a bulk submitter. I'm not in that game. But then all of a sudden I started seeing these reports and it was like a big deal. It could potentially be, there's been different numbers thrown around. It could potentially be 7 figures, $1 million plus, potentially. Those are some of the numbers I've seen, as low as $500,000, as high as $1 million plus. What happened? Here's the story. Marx Cards was a big bulk submitter to PSA. In fact, they were on one of even as of last night, they were still on PSA's website. I can't believe they didn't take that down. They were on PSA's website as like, I don't know if it's a recommended, I don't know the verbiage, but a recommended bulk submitter to PSA. Let's see, Marx Cards. We're going to Google it right now, PSA. We're going to find a lot of YouTube videos. They also did group submissions for SGC as well. So yeah, psacard.com. Dealer not found. Okay, so it's no longer on the PSA website. So that's good. But it was as of like yesterday afternoon. So now PSA doesn't take money up front for submissions. But Marx Cards was taking money up front from customers. So here's what bulk submitters do if you're not aware of the grading game. Say I've got 20 Cubs cards that I want submitted to PSA. I don't want to go, and why would you do this? Say you're giving your cards to somebody else, to a middleman to grade your cards. Like, I don't know the grading game. I don't know. Sometimes they offer services like they can tell you, they do like a raw grade review, say, you're probably going to get an 8. That's like a service that they can tack on. And then if you're good with, you pay them like $5 for the raw grade review, say, awesome, I'll get a 9 on this. I'm good with this. I'm going to submit it to PSA and then you'll pay. So Marx Cards was charging customers up front to the tune of possibly $1 million. And apparently, allegedly, we don't know, they don't have that money. They closed shop and they're filing for bankruptcy. And that the customers don't have their money, and the customers don't have their cards. A lot of the cards, maybe most of them, if not all of them, are still at PSA. Now, PSA hasn't been paid because they bill Marx Cards. Marx Cards build their, it's like a Ponzi scheme. Marx Cards bills the customers that submit these cards. They submit them, and then they've got to pay PSA to get them back. Well, they didn't pay PSA, so the cards are still with PSA. So I'm going to go to the chat. Diego, thank you. Diego put his link in there. Andrew says, can you submit to PSA yourself right now, or you got to pay a membership? No, you can submit your own. And you can do it through a membership, or if you just have one card, say you pulled Superfractor out of Bowman Draft and you want to submit it, and you can submit. And I think they just opened up economy. I think there was a waiting list. So you can get in line for economy. I think 9 months is the turnaround for economy at $50 a card. Say it's a big high-end card. Maybe you went into your closet from your childhood and, hey, you had a Michael Jordan rookie card. You want to submit it. You can express it for, I don't know, whatever express is, $600, $500. And then I think if the value is X amount, you have to pay more. I don't know the details on that. But yes, short answer is yes, you can submit to PSA yourself. You can submit one card with just submit your card and then you pay for it. Or you can buy a membership and or something, I don't know. But yes, you can. Because if you like to watch paint dry, I'm your guy. So click on that link and check out Diego's channel. I'm up at 4 every morning. Gym is empty, so I don't have to deal with people. I like that. Can someone try accessing ComC.com, please? Andrew says he got an error on ComC. Andrew, to submit yourself, yes, you have to buy a membership. I was not aware. I thought you could just submit one card without a membership. I'm almost certain you can just submit a card. Let's see. Let's go to PSA card. I'm already there. Online submission center. You have to sign in. Don't have a PSA account. I'm pretty sure you don't have to have a membership. So I think memberships start at like $100 or $150. So yeah, okay. So there's walkthrough, there's super express, there's regular, retail economy, dealer economy. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Getting into the weeds. Let's see. My LCS 3 stars takes group submissions. I assume they send directly, but I guess now people will have to ask for clarification. That's a great point, because yeah, a lot of these, and I don't know with like Ryan, Card Collector 2, I don't know if he was up front saying, I then send these out, because you're getting into basically a double broker situation. Now, I worked in transportation and we were a third party and we were a logistics company. So, and we were non-asset based. So we had zero assets, meaning we had zero trucks. You know, the company I worked for wasn't on the side of a trailer. So we were sending in trucks as a third party. We would send in, what's a big company? Schneider. So we're sending in we didn't use them that much because they're expensive. So we send in Schneider, and it would have Schneider. Now, sometimes it's like, we're going to send in Thompson Trucking. And this is just a made up last name. I think there's several Thompson Trucking companies out there. So this isn't a specific example. It's just my last name, Trucking. So we would send in Thompson Trucking, but sometimes if it's a smaller company you'd get, or actually larger companies, they would say, you send in Thompson Trucking, but the side of the trailer says Korean Cardboard Trucking. And so then I would call, or actually the carrier agent would call Thompson Trucking, and they're like, hey, what's on the side of your trailer? And sometimes it was a double broker situation. You call up, this company, and they were double brokering it to somebody else. And you can get, when you start getting into those double brokerage situations, yeah, sometimes they go good and sometimes they go bad. But we always needed to know and wanted to know up front, because we didn't double broker. First off, we would not double broker. So if it was that situation, we would take them off the transaction. and then we would probably not load them in on future loads. So we did not double broker. Other companies do double brokering, and it causes a lot of issues. And this is a type of issue in the card industry that can happen when you double broker, when a group subber subs to another group subber, and let's see. Since when? You've always needed to have a membership to submit cards. That's why people piggyback with others who are paid members. I was not aware. I thought you could just send in a card. I didn't know you had to be a member. I was unaware because I I've never subbed, so I'll take your word for it. Basically borrowing someone's Sam Club card back in the day. I was subbing my own until I moved abroad and have since piggybacked with a friend. So that's kind of what the reasons behind group subbing is apparently. I know with SGC there's no membership, but there's group subs, and also with group subs, and this is what I thought the biggest reason for groups was discounts, because if you on your own send in, you've got to pay, say it's $100 on your own, but you can get with a group subber, and since they get those group discounts because they're submitting bulk, you can pay $80. So you're paying less by submitting to a group subber, and you don't have to deal with the paperwork and all. They basically send it off, get it back, send it to you, and you pay the charge plus shipping. So that's another perk. It's less. The cost is less to bulk submit as opposed to submitting yourself, especially if you do need a membership with, say, a PSA, because that membership costs money. Does this scammer issue bring grading cards less interesting? I don't think so. I think this issue is just going to shine more light on, be wary of who you're doing business with. Not just grading, but just in general, because now we're seeing used Dan's piggyback. Now we're seeing piggyback scam upon piggyback scam, because now we've got a bulk subber scamming. We had the fake slabs pop up in Dallas last weekend, which in previous other card shows, and I think Ryan Nolan said, I think it's now been 5 card shows where these fake slabs have popped up. So now you've got to look at the slabs on the high end stuff. Like my Grant Williams SGC 9 is probably real. It's not going to be faked. I can't move it for $10. What else did we have? We had, I forget, there's so much going on every day that you forget what the latest scam is, but there's just so much going on. I think it's just going to shine more light that, hey, there's bad apples, and just to kind of throw a positive spin on it, that this isn't the only industry or hobby where there's scams. Where there's money, there's going to be greed, and where there's greed, there's going to be scammers. And it's not just within baseball cards. It's everywhere. So just be careful. So that's kind of the lowdown. That's my thoughts on it. I'm not a grader. I'm not a bulk sub. Now, would I bulk sub? Absolutely. But I'm going to be careful on who I would choose. I've got a stack of pre-war Cubs cards that eventually I'm going to sub to SG. Now, it's kind of, I've got enough that I can get probably a discount in doing it on my own. But I can also sub it, and I know I'll get a discount if I do a group sub. And I know some group subbers that I trust, that I would send them off to. And this isn't the first issue with group subbers. Like this has happened multiple times. There's been several issues with group subs. To this scale, probably not. Especially if it gets into those 7 figures. But this doesn't deter me from using a bulk group submitter to a grading company, because frankly, and especially if you do need a subscription or whatever to PS that, I'll just sub it. Now, my stuff I'm going to send to SG. Oh, I can just send it myself, and it's cheap. I think it's $30 a card. If I go through a bulk subber, it's like $25 a card, so I can save significant money. So we'll see. Zach says invest in Will Clark, Andy Van Slyke, and Eric Davis. Dan says back in 2013, when cards were about $4.50 each to sub, I'd send in 100 to get that rate instead of 50. Absolutely, absolutely, and it made sense then, but now it doesn't make sense because the lowest is $50, which in that level just opened up. These guys out really frauding, and I get a bad review for sending a card in a card saver and not a top loader, a $4 card at that. Did they give you a negative feedback or just a neutral? I've had positive feedbacks left. I think I had a positive feedback recently left about a card saver over a top loader. And yeah, it's annoying. Bo is talking about all of these scammers to take the heat off of him undercutting the Marcus Allen action pack market, right? So that's all I wanted to talk about for that. I just wanted to bring that to light. And I wasn't interested. Like when I first saw the news, it's like, oh, here we go again. And I don't care. But then I got on Clubhouse and somebody from one of the employees from PSA was actually talking on Clubhouse yesterday. I was actually eating lunch and listening to it. And it was interesting to hear what they're doing at PSA to help customers out. So if you're not, Clubhouse is a great app. Some of the groups, and I'm not sure what group, but I'm pretty sure it's the same group that I hear. And it's pretty fascinating. It's just Clubhouse app and just search baseball cards. What group was I listening to? I don't know if I don't know how to work it. I get push notifications on my phone. I was about to shut them off, but every once in a while, it's like I'm tired of listening to podcasts or I don't have anything to listen to. And I'll see Brian Gray is talking on Clubhouse. So I'll tune in and I tune in, tune out, and I've never talked on it. I've basically just listen in. So, and you can learn some interesting stuff. So Clubhouse app is pretty cool. Let's talk a couple things eBay. Now I mentioned early as I started, I'm going to break down a video and do a separate video for best practices, but I'm going to mention it here in regards to standard envelopes. So there's a lot of issues that pop up just with plain white envelopes in general. Typically, in almost every instance, it's one of three things that's happening with standard envelopes. So there's three things to be wary of. Number one, like the number one biggest issue when it comes to problems regarding standard envelopes is the post office itself and the clerks, where you're dropping your envelopes off. And I was having a conversation yesterday, and they mentioned, it's a small town post office. They're really friendly. They're great. I don't think it would be them. My post office was the same. And I had a great relationship with all of the clerks, and this was going back a couple years. But guess what? Every time I dropped off envelopes at my post office, they got returned for postage due. So what would I do? I would take that damn rubber band off, and I would walk down to the end of my driveway. I'd put them in my mailbox, and they were delivered fine, no problems. Next day, take them back to the post office, drop them off, back in my mailbox for postage due. Okay. Drop them off I was wary at first to drop them off at the big blue mailbox outside because it's the same post office. But guess what? Maybe maybe somebody who's collecting the mail at the desk or in the chute inside the building, maybe they're bored and they're being, following the rule, not even following the rules, because most of my, if not all of my envelopes, meet the standards. Maybe one might be a millimeter too thick. I don't know. So that's number one. And especially in not only not dropping them off inside the post office itself, don't talk to the clerks about the standard envelope program, because they likely don't know. You probably know more than the clerk at the post office. And that's the biggest problem. I've had people come to me via eBay message and they're like, "Hey, you gave me a fake tracking number. I talked to my post office and they said that's not a real tracking number." It's not a real tracking number within the USPS. It's so I what I need to do is create like an explanation, because I've had to write it out. I bet I've received 5 messages this week saying, "Hey, my this says delivered, but I haven't received it." So I have to explain the situation. And guess what? The next day, I get a message, "Hey, it showed up today." So that's the number one. Andrew says, "I talked to my postmaster. Let me know what they said. I'm interested to hear what they said." This is true. Nobody knows how to handle eBay standard envelope. And it's just, and that goes with like, and I've talked about this over and over about the post office and clerks. You can have 2 clerks at the same post. The postal, how people, and it's all interpretation basically. Like there's rules on PWE and all that. It just depends on who's interpreting those rules at the post office. And I've talked many times about the previous city I lived in. And this predates tracking, like, or actually, well, probably does predate tracking, but also when you had to pay for tracking, and I would have one clerk. There were like 2 full-time clerks, and one was like super like over the book, and he would charge me a package on everything. But the other guy, he would charge, even if it was a package, he'd let me buy with, "Oh, it fits through here." The other guy was like, "Nope, it's a package." Wouldn't even use the slider. So I'd walk in, if the guy who was going to charge me package was working the front desk, I'd turn around later and wait until the other guy was working, because I knew that I'd save a bunch of money on postage. And it didn't matter back then because we didn't have tracking. It was either flat rate, I think it was flat rate before like the flat rate as we know it now. It was like whatever it was, and then package rate. Um, so yeah, so that's number one. I want to see if Andrew said, I was told his interpretation. I was told his interpretation is they are machinable, not non-machinable. So that's, but somewhere in there, somebody's interpreting it as non-machinable. I asked if I could put them in the blue box. Yeah, absolutely. I think I put 300 envelopes in the blue box on Tuesday because Monday was a holiday. So yeah, I just, to avoid any headaches, I've had all of my issues that I've had, and I've had very few, all of my issues when it's been returned to me, and I've had a couple, and I mean, we're talking out of 15,000 white envelopes in the last 2 years. The few times it's happened is when I've dropped them off inside the post office, putting them in my mailbox, putting in the blue boxes, no issues whatsoever. Ed says the clerks at my PO don't even know how it works. They refer to it as that eBay program. Yeah, because it's not a USPS program. So it's really, I can't speak poorly of the clerks in this regard, because it's not a USPS program. It is an eBay program. Well, it's technically a Pitney Bowes program. They're the third party. It's scanned and tracked within the sorting facilities by a third party. I don't even know if it's Pitney Bowes, but it's one of the third parties that USPS uses at the sorting facilities. So technically, it is that eBay program. And I just want to scream from the rooftops: don't talk to the USPS clerks in regards to the eBay standard envelope program, because they likely know less than you do about it. Because likely they don't even know it exists, and you do. My soon-to-be father-in-law does not know about it, and he is a postmaster. See, there you go. Jeremy, good morning to you. Let's see. Zach says, can someone answer if a butterfly non-machinable stamp covers 2 ounces on its own? I may be putting too much postage on my trades. Thank you for the guidance. A butterfly non-machinable stamp. I'm not familiar with the non-machinable stamps. Is a non-machinable stamp, because I think there's an extra ounce stamp and there's a non-machinable stamp. Um, Basically, uh, 2 ounces, and I think 2 ounces should be one. And anybody in here, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not sure if this is correct, but this is my interpretation. That's the word of the day, interpretation. My interpretation for 2 ounce with stamps is a standard forever stamp. So they're 60 cents now, plus an extra ounce stamp, which I believe runs 20 cents. So I think if you use that butterfly non-machinable stamp, I think you're correct, and I think that's on par. I don't think you're putting too much. I think you're putting the correct amount on. That's my interpretation, but that's just my opinion, and it may be wrong. So I guess that's not opinion. If it's wrong, it's not an opinion. That's my advice, and it might be wrong. Andrew says, my guess is my situation was due to someone at customer's post office. Is interpretation non-machinable, and they stamp them after they get to the post office to the customer. That could be. I've had issues where there was postage. Actually, I think an envelope I sent to Zach was, and I think the issue where I ran into with my stamps and what happened at Zach's was, I think there was how much was it? It was like 12 cents or 30 cents, or I don't know, but I think they just looked at my stamps and added them up incorrectly, because it was a bizarre, because when I saw, he sent me the picture of the postage due, and I had the correct, this was back when stamps were 55 cents. There was 55 cents worth of stamps, and it was like 12 cents postage due, or whatever the number was, did not equal like non-machinable or extra ounce or whatever that may be. So I'm pretty sure whoever handled the mail at whatever point, it could have come at different points, just didn't, they probably, it could have happened at a smaller post office or somewhere where somebody who was handling that particular mail had too much time on their hands and counted up and just miscounted. Andrew, did you ask your postmaster, because I think you said they wrote non-machinable, or somebody at some point wrote non-machinable. I wonder if your postmaster knows if somebody within that post office wrote that on there. Let's see. When I tried selling before, I would use the meter strips to get a receipt with the destination on. With our $40 monthly budget, every stamp matters. Absolutely. I put a non-machine butterfly on up to 18 cards. At that time, I wanted something to let customers. A PWE was sent. Non-machinable pays for the surcharge. Thanks, Jenny. Do you know the ounce, because you don't use cardboard, right? So that was a long-winded number one. USPS clerks. Number two, writing non-machinable on it. And there's been, and I don't know the answer. I don't think that the standard envelopes are non-machinable. I think if it has to be run non-machinable, you have to add whether or not you pay for 2 ounce, 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounces. It should be an additional non-machinable stamp. And I've heard people using this both ways, so it could be it's whoever's hands it's in. So, but I do know if you if you send a 60 cent and you put non-machinable, it's going to be kicked back for not enough postage, unless you have that non-machinable stamp. And I don't think standard envelope covers the non-machinable end of things. I think you have to put a non-machinable stamp on there. And number three, just sending them in the wrong packaging. I've seen mainly on the blowout forums where people are like, well, I used a bubble mailer, but it was less than an ounce. You can't use a bubble mailer because that's automatically, you might get by with it once or twice. You might get lucky a few times, but that's a package rate. Any bubble mailer is going to go package rate. I've seen mixed reaction on those like rigid eBay, like the ones that eBay actually says to use. I would avoid, just use a regular number 10 envelope. Because I've had like no issue, like I issues, because I'm sure there's been an issue at some point that I'm overlooking, but out of thousands and thousands and thousands, I just use a card saver and a standard number 10 envelope. So those USPS clerks, um, not writing non-machinable and using the improper envelopes, namely bubble mailers or super rigid mailers. Andrew says, they told me nobody touches my mail at my post office. They just put it in the basket and off it goes. Interesting. 2 of 3 clerks were standing there and assured me they don't stamp these envelopes. I then asked if I can just put in blue box, and they were like, yeah, go ahead. Now I do sell a few cards in on Twitter, and then I use a non-machinable stamp, and those always make it. Only issue I have is by using the standard envelope label. It's weird that you've had issues, because I've had zero, and I shouldn't say zero. I'm aware of zero issues. I'm not aware of any issues with standard envelope, and I've been doing strictly. I don't do the stamps anymore because my stamp guy ran out. So since like mid-December, I've been strictly using standard envelope. So I'm moving probably upwards of 1,000 per week of standard envelope, and like I've had zero returned for postage due, and I have not been aware of anybody that's been charged postage due on any standard envelopes. So it's weird that, so that's what makes me think, and that was Andrew. That's why I thought it was at your post office, because obviously you're sending them in different places. You're not sending them to the same destination. So that's what makes me think it's coming from the origin. And I don't know where your local, maybe it's, if your local post office doesn't handle the mail, who does handle it? And that's probably, my thought process is it's somewhere at the origin, whoever first touches your mail. And it may not be specifically your post office if they said they don't touch it, but whoever they send it to and whoever has the first hands on it, because your envelopes are going to separate destinations. And same here, like my issues, when I had issues, they were from the origin, and I know they were coming from within my post office because they handled the mail. That 70s card show, what's up? Happy Friday. I just put Santa North Pole on the envelope, never had a problem. Andrew, I drive 10 miles one way to drop off my mailings every day. Jenny had a lot of problems with it, and it was from her origin post office. So now she drives 10 miles just to drop off her mail. They'll tag 40 cents due on every envelope. What's up, Jason? Good morning to you. I've had zero returns with standard envelope over the last 6 to 8 months using it. Same here. Do you have your card show tomorrow? No, my card show is next Saturday, January 29th. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. Next Saturday, my room is sold out, and I'm at the point where I don't know what I'm going to do, because the room is sold out, but it's only like 2 tables. So I think I'm just going to have to squeeze, I just may have them put like 3 tables out in the hallway, and that's where mine tables are going to be. I don't want to do that, but I don't want to, I've got I'm at that weird point, and they have to know, I need to let them know, basically today, so they can start getting it set up next week. So that's a predicament I'm in. I thought I was going to have, I thought I'd have a few more tables. I thought I'd get to 75 tables. So, and I might, just because of last minute additions. So we'll see. Madison Card Show next Saturday, January 29th. Madison Sheraton Hotel. We're running 9 to 2, free admission. So right now I have, I think 66, 67 tables. I can fit 64 in the room. And that total number counts my 3. Actually, I have to go back and count just to make sure. So I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to go back to the chat. Jenny says, my post office will deliver the 53-cent purchases I make. They just won't mail my outgoing 53-cent. This has only happened 3 times, and once the clerk at my post office said they just sent it back and circled the eBay standard envelope on the label, so it's not a problem. That's continuing. That 70s Card Show says, congrats on the sellout. Please don't end up on the internet. Well, I want to end up on the internet, but for good. Like, hey, look at this card show. It's awesome. So please put me on the internet for good. Just goes to show the post office don't work. No, they don't. Then and that's, dating back to my early eBay days of, the 2 clerks that I mentioned. One went by they went by the same rule. They just interpreted it differently. So I could go to John and get and this was back when bubble mailers were like $1. I think I could get a 75-cent rate from John and from Jim. I don't know if that's their real names. I can't remember. But the other guy was like, oh, it's $1.05. That's a package. Well, I'm going to come back later and I'm going to save $2 going with the first guy. Ed says, been using standard envelopes since its inception. Only one was never delivered. No other issues. Around 500 shipped to this point. I've had several not delivered. There's been issues, but pretty minor in the grand scheme. I think I've made, and we're talking out of 5,000. No, more than that, maybe 10,000, 8,000. We'll just right in the middle, 8,000. I have 7,000 to 8,000 standard envelopes that I've shipped out to this point, and there's going to be more, but to this point, I've refunded, I think, 5 out of that many, and I think of those 5, I think 3 or 4 of those 5 were just stuck. Like they got to like the halfway point, and never were updated in the system. So, and we know sometimes, they're delivered without being marked delivered. So could it have been those people did receive them and they just wanted their money back? I don't know. But I got my money back. So I refunded the buyer. I submitted a claim through the insurance claim. By the way, if you're wondering, I'm going to post this in the chat. I've got it bookmarked. And I'm going to talk about this again. eBay standard envelope insurance site. I'm going to go a step further with best practices on the eBay standard envelope. Say somebody reaches out and they're like, hey, this has been stuck in transit for 2 weeks and I don't have my card. Just have them open a claim, refund their money right away. And then if it's been once 30 days comes up from, I think, ship date, you can file a claim using the website that I just put in the chat. And I've used that insurance claim form, I think 3 times. And I've got my money within 24 hours of each claim. Now, there has been mixed. One of those times, 2 of those times it was stuck in transit. One of those times it was marked delivered. I was able to get my money back, even though it was marked delivered. I've heard other people submit claims, and if it was delivered, if it was marked delivered, they did not get their money back. So that's kind of a crapshoot. But in my one instance, and it's again, and it was very early on. It was early on in the program, so maybe I got lucky. It really is. I blocked the guy that did it to me and blocked the guy that did it to Bo. It's terrible. Nowhere the ad does it say ships and top loader. Yep, absolutely. The card saver versus top loader mess is so petty. It is. Jenny says, I better knock on wood, but I've been having good luck. 267 cents in the last 7 days. Nice. One buyer unhappy, but that was the card saver. I've actually heard of more issues with top loaders, PW. Yeah. And the issue with the top loaders is they're rigid. So like, and this is a poor example. Like, look at how flexible that is. And now you're like, well, if there's a card in there, it's going to bend my card. I haven't had any damaged cards. What happens with a top loader? a top loader, you know, is rigid. So what happens in a top loader, especially if you put two, like it's very rigid here, and what happens is it tends to, like, look at that difference, and it's not very flexible here, and that's what people like that hate card savers say. Well, look at how much it bent. There's no card saver, but look at how much it can bend here. It can't bend here. Well, that's actually a bad thing, because if it's rigid here, and look at that difference, put it on camera, when it goes through the machine and it's like flat, 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 flat. Oh shoot, and you get a messed up PWE, and I just messed up a top loader. That's like 8 cents. So that's what happens. Oh, plus 2.5 cents from, I just wasted a dime showing that. So that's what can happen, you know, when the machine, and it's similar to we talked with Don on from Fujitsu about the scanners and how penny sleeves are not good because they're, you know, it's, let's take Spencer Howard out of this top loader. I'm going to ruin a penny sleeve now, but it's going to go through the scanner, and what happens is, you know, it's not going to damage the card, but what's going to happen is it's going to pick up imperfections on the penny sleeve, but it's also going to do this. It's going to go through the scanner, and it's going to do this. So it's going to scan, and it could also crunch up, and it can, and if it's a cheapie, it can do this, and it's just going to scan all kinds of things. So I'm team card saver now. I was team top loader up until about 3 weeks ago. What actually turned me on, and full disclosure, what actually turned me on to team card saver was I couldn't find any damn top loaders, and when I did, they were too expensive. You can get, by the way, you can get, I think Columbia Hobby still has them in stock. I think you can get them as cheap as 8 cents per top loader now if you buy a case, which is a fantastic deal. I was paying a few months ago, I was paying 8 cents per top loader used, and now you can buy them brand new. So, oh yeah, I damaged the top loader. Shoot, and the envelope. So there you go, 11.5 cents. Got a check mark in the red. That's what I had for today. I'm going to do a separate video at some point. I'm itching to rip some nostalgia packs. Some of my eBay, I bought, I think, 7 non-sports packs from the 80s on eBay recently. Those are probably coming next week. So I'm getting a nice little pile. I thought about starting it February 1st. I'm getting the itch, so I might just start it next week and just not worry about editing and all that crap. So I think I'm just going to do nostalgia breaks and get that fired up. They won't be live. I'll record them because I'll probably just do them from my phone out in the rec room on my little breakers table. So I'll do them out there, and then I actually have a breaking pad. I'll have to use that I got at the National, and then I'll upload. So Jason, same. I couldn't find top loaders, so I switched to card savers. Yeah, and I'm not looking back. I love it, and there's still with BCW, like, I think it's still a year back order for top loaders. So that's what I had. I've got one more cup of coffee to drink, and then it's time to ship. So have a great Friday. I will be live tomorrow morning. I'm not doing any card shows this weekend, so no shows for me. I think there's one in Franklin, Wisconsin that I've never been to, but it's freaking cold. It's -10. It's literally -10 right now. That's the temperature, not even the wind chill. So I'm not leaving the damn house. So I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll go to Walmart and Target today and see if they have any new cards. But nope, not going to do it. Brian just bought 400-ish top loaders for 17 cents. Brian, I'm going to post a link. Let me see if they're in stock. Columbia Hobby. You can get them cheaper. They're probably, yep, and they are in stock. Oh, they're 8.5 cents. But if you buy a whole bunch of them, If you buy two, so you can get a case of top loaders from Columbia Hobby. You can get one case for $85. So that's 8.5 cents per top loader. If you buy 2,000, if you're using that many, you only pay $75 each. So if you're doing a lot of eBay sales, you can get top loaders from Columbia Hobby for 7.5 cents each. Here is the link, takes you straight to the top loaders. Boom. Ed says, happy Friday. Target SP had cards 2 days ago. If you can make it to your mailbox, you can suck it up and make it to a show. You've already committed. I don't have any shows to go to. I like there's a show in Franklin, but I haven't committed to a show. So there's one show tomorrow, but I've never been to it. And I don't want to leave the house. So I'm not going to go. Oh, really? I thought I had a good deal. Yeah, you can get them for a lot cheaper now. If you find the right place. Columbia Hobby has had them in stock for a while. But I know BCW's on back order. I think Ultra Pro's on back order. But those deals are out there. So yeah, no card shows, too cold, -10. Not leaving the house this morning. And we'll see if it hits. If it gets above 0, I might leave the house. What's today's? I wonder what temperature is for Jenny. She's always like 10 degrees colder. It's gonna get up to 18 today. So maybe I'll do a retail run later today. So that's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday. I will go live tomorrow. Probably my typical, who knows what time, weekend times, 8 to 9 a.m. typically. So how do you stay warm in the basement? Well, there's a heater. There's heat in here. So that's how. It's a few degrees cooler in the basement, but it's heated. So that's how I stay warm. And I've got a hoodie on. Normally I don't have a hoodie. It does this week. It's been cold just because it's been downright damn cold. But especially in my office upstairs, because it's right against the window, right next to a big window. So it's usually a couple degrees cooler in that room. And it's like yesterday, my hands were cold. So in the basement, it's usually a few degrees chillier down here as well. But there's heat. It's finished. Well, this room is not finished, but it's love my basement in the summer. Yeah, same here. It's nice and cool in the summer. But it's, again, couple degrees cooler than the rest of the house, but which sucks in the winter, especially when it's 10 below 0. So have a great Friday, stay warm, and we'll talk tomorrow.